Hello and welcome to another episode of either the shortest ADHD podcast if you're listening to me on Spotify, or if you're watching this on YouTube, then this is just on my channel, Cherry ADHD, and you can also find obviously all short form stuff under cherry.adhd. So with that in mind, this is the channel where I discuss a lot of ADHD difficulties with scientific and research explanations, but in simpler terms, and make them relevant to you and your experience, because I know ADHD is tough, ADHD can suck, but there are ways that you can actually work with your ADHD rather than against it. If you haven't watched the first part on why resting with ADHD can be so difficult, make sure that you do. I will attempt to link it. If not, you go just look at the previous one. Anyway, if you're not familiar with my format yet, I'm basically attempting to do tasks that are really dreadful to me, like doing laundry, so maybe we can body double if you want to. Feel free to put away your laundry with me together, or you can just listen to this. If you can hear bells, by the way, this is my cat Mia, who likes to join in, in the most inconvenient moments. But anyway, let's get started. I now would like to explain to you how you can actually rest when you have ADHD and when your brain is basically wired to constantly seek stimulation and basically find rest uncomfortable, and maybe even signals to your brain that something is wrong and that you should be doing something, which can also then therefore trigger guilt and shame and the whole lot, basically. First of all, by the way, if you haven't seen the previous one, but even if you have, you're not lazy. There are studies that literally show you why it's so difficult for us to do the simplest, and I'm saying simple in quotation mark, because they're not really simple for people with ADHD, but the simplest tasks can be really, really difficult for people with ADHD because they are very understimulating and we don't get as much dopamine from them as we should, or as neurotypical people do. So our brains basically don't really get the signal that we should do this again. That felt good. So with that in mind, I'm going to quickly get myself some hangers to hang up my daughter's lovely dresses. Ta-da! I've got my hangers. You can do, again, whatever task you feel you want to do. Maybe you can just rest as well, because as I said in my previous video, our brains constantly seek stimulation, because not only does it need that, but it also, the brain's networks between rest and focusing are also blurred. Those lines are not very separated. And when you rest and you don't have stimulation, your brain will automatically want you to get some sort of stimulation by either triggering you or urging you, or maybe even shaming you to do something, or by doing the most random things that you don't actually have the energy to do, or by worrying about things that you don't have the capacity to change. There are some ways that you can trick your brain into relaxing and resting, and that is by introducing some gentle stimulation. Gentle stimulation is not like watching a horror movie. I mean, if you do find that relaxing, you go ahead, but it's usually something that can be somewhat mindful, like coloring in or doing some sort of crafts, like adult Lego, for example, can be great. Or there are even some sorting tasks that can feel quite relaxing too for people with ADHD, and that is because it gives the brain something to focus on that doesn't require a lot of brain space, but it also gives you gentle stimulation. So if you are doing something with your hands, if you're keeping them engaged through, for example, stimming, fidgeting, knitting, crocheting, doing crochet, or doodling and colouring in or something like that. That can be already enough stimulation for your brain to be like, okay, I think we are safe. This feels good. We can switch off a little bit. I don't have to panic. Or it can also help your body's regulation. And that's the other thing, because we often have more residual stress levels left after little stressful events, or maybe even after big stressful events. Although sometimes the research also showed that, you know, the stress response from people with ADHD was unpredictable. So things that were stressful for neurotypical people usually weren't as stressful for people with ADHD, but then things that weren't as stressful for neurotypical people typically were more stressful for people with ADHD. So it was kind of unpredictable. It also takes us a lot longer to calm down after said stress spikes. So you can do something that is called like a bottom-up strategy, where you attempt to calm your body first before you calm your brain. Because, you know, if you have stress levels, cortisol levels present in your body, it's going to make it really, really hard for you to relax and feel safe enough to relax. You can use things like a weighted blanket, for example, have calming scents on. I actually, funnily enough, even though I often feel like I have the energy, but exercising is an amazing way for me to release some stress and to actually regulate. But granted, in all honesty, exercising is a whole new ballpark with people with ADHD, and we can definitely tackle that in another video on how to, you know, find exercise that feels enjoyable for you and actually engage with it somewhat consistently. If you are too tired though for exercise, and I often feel like that, especially in the evenings, if you're a mum as well, or if you work all day, you know, or if you're both a working mum, it's a lot. So apart from a weighted blanket, you can also attempt to give your body some other stimulation. For example, a bath or a nice hot cup of tea, some other kind of like soothing drink that signals to your brain, okay, it's safe. You can start to regulate a little bit and have a breather. The other thing is you can add some gentle stimulation through what you're actually probably doing right now, and that is by doing some repetitive tasks whilst, for example, listening to something like, you know, the shortest ADHD podcast or / my channel. You can also watch some TV that is very easy watching, you know, like a Great British Bake Off or Strictly Come Dancing, or I don't know what other things. I actually love The Traitors, so that's another one that I find really fascinating to watch. But if you want to limit your screen time, which is very recommended, podcasts, music, or audiobooks, etc., can be really, really helpful to also introduce. Going for a walk as well, it gives your brain again a little bit of movement and signals that it's literally safe to come out of feeling stuck in rumination mode. But if you do have other things that you enjoy doing, you know, other than snacking, for example, which is also, by the way, completely fine, let me know in the comments, please, because I want this to become a supportive space, a safe space, where, you know, you don't just only listen to my recommendations and what I found and what I've heard from you guys, but also for everyone else who's maybe looking through the comments for alternative suggestions, because nothing that I've said actually really clicked yet. Maybe you can find some support and help and more strategies in the comments. So yeah, it was lovely to have you. I hope that you were somewhat able to get done what you needed to get done. I hung up a lot of my girls' dresses and the rest will have to somehow get just chucked into the drawers because, well, exactly have a folding system anymore, but I'm happy to discuss that in another video. And please, again, if you do have any suggestions or preferences, otherwise I'm more than happy to discuss laundry, in a following video. So with that, lots of love. You're great.